If you've lifted your 2007 to 2021 Tundra, it's important to make sure you've got the right supporting mods to make it drive and handle properly. This front lower control arm and cam bolt kit from Freedom Off-Road will ensure that your Tundra can handle tough terrain while also maintaining proper alignment and road manners, even with your lift kit installed. The dark side of lift kits is that they can negatively affect your suspension geometry, so your truck may not be able to be aligned properly, and thus it won't drive the way it was intended to. Now, especially if you're going to drive your truck daily, you want to make sure that it can be aligned properly and professionally. These front lower control arms are designed for lifted applications, and they feature new ball joints and higher quality rubber bushings, so they're about 20% stiffer than your standard bushings. That means they're going to deflect a lot less than the stock ones, meaning you'll be able to stay in control of your truck more easily, even in tough terrain or in emergency situations. Also included in this kit are a set of new cam bolts, which are going to help with that alignment. Now, these allow for up to 1.5 degrees of positive or negative camber and caster, so you can get your wheels aligned exactly how you want them and dial out any unwanted angle that may have resulted from lifting your truck. The arms themselves are constructed from stamped steel, and they're welded together and finished off with a black coating for additional protection against rust and corrosion. The bushings and the ball joints all come pre-installed to make it a little easier on you, and they are replaceable should you want or need to do that later on down the line. Overall, this makes for a pretty high quality setup, and it's something that many overlook when building their off-road or overlanding rigs. Pricing comes in at about $500, which is a pretty good deal for something like this. It's not a whole lot more than you'd spend buying new OEM Toyota arms from your dealer, and those don't have the capability or the adjustability that comes with this kit. Installation gets a 2 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and the job should take you around 2 hours to complete. Now, everything here is designed to bolt right into place without the need for additional modifications, but it is going to take you some time, so budget accordingly. And once you've got all this stuff in and done, make sure you set up an appointment to get your truck professionally aligned. But we're going to walk you through the installation of the lower control arms and the cam bolts step by step right now, so for that, let's head on out to the shop.
For this install, you will need an impact, a 3/8 to 1/2 inch adapter if necessary, 16, 19, 22, 24, 27, and 30 millimeter sockets, a ratchet, needle nose pliers, a ball joint tool, 22, 24, 27, and 30 millimeter wrenches, and also not shown here is a pole jack or a jack and jack stands. What's up, guys? Today we're going to be doing a lower control arm on our Tundra, so let's get started. Alrighty guys, so we've got the truck in the air, we've got the wheels off. Now the first thing we want to do is give some reference marks for our cam bolts for our alignment. Now you will need an alignment after replacing this. This is just going to help get you back to close to where you were so you can drive safely to the alignment shop. So we're going to take a paint pen and we're going to come to our cam bolts. Now you do have a bottom reference mark for center. We're just going to mark that like so, and we're going to use these factory cam bolts as reference for our new ones, and we'll do that for all 4 of them. This front one is a little bit tight, but you can still get a mark in there. Now our next step is going to be to just loosen up our cam bolts a little bit. It's going to allow for a little bit more movement. So we're going to use our 24 millimeter socket on our ratchet and a 24 millimeter wrench to do that. This one piece to loosen up a little bit. I'll do the same thing for the other one. Next, we're going to remove our sway bar end link bolt from our control arm. So we're going to grab our 19 millimeter socket on our impact to do that. Now we're going to remove our lower strut mounting bolt. So for that, we're going to grab our 22 millimeter socket on our impact and a 22 millimeter wrench. Now we're going to remove our 2 lower ball joint mounting bracket bolts. We've got our 22 mil socket again. We're going to pop these out. Once we get one loose, we're going to loosen the other one. Get this one out. Now we're going to push up a little bit on our brake caliper and hub assembly, pull down on our lower control arm, swing that out of the way. Then we'll come back and fully remove our cam bolts. Now we're going to loosen and fully remove our cam bolts. Once again, we've got our 24 mil socket and wrench. Once you get your nut off, you want to remove your washer and your cam from the back side of this first one. Then we'll do the same thing on the other side, and then we'll pull both bolts out. Grab that out. We can pull our front bolt out. We'll pop our front cam out. You want to be careful with this one. We're going to support our control arm. Remove our rear bolt. And we can pull our control arm. Now that we've got our control arm out, we need to remove the lower ball joint mounting bracket. So we're going to start by removing the castle nut. We need to get this cotter pin out of the way. So we've got some needle nose pliers. We'll grab onto those. We're going to bend these straight. Remember, the straighter the legs on your cotter pin, the easier it is to pull out. Got that out. We're going to take our 24 millimeter socket and remove our castle nut. Now to get our bracket off, we're going to be using a ball joint removal tool. Now if you don't have one of these are available for rental from most automotive parts stores for pretty cheap, and they make things quite easy instead of having to beat and bang on this. So we're going to grab our tool and get that hooked under. Send our anvil down to our ball joint. Make sure we have tension on that. It's nice and secure. We're going to use a 16 millimeter socket on ours to push down and pop this bracket off. Now, you do want to exercise caution. This is going to be under a little bit of pressure, so make sure your face isn't right up against it. Alright, so now we need to get our lower ball joint mounting bracket off of our ball joint. So we've got our ball joint removal tool. Now if you don't have one of these are readily available for rental at most major automotive parts stores. So what we're going to do, slide this into place. Get that seated. And we're going to use our 19 millimeter socket to run our stud in and push this out. So now once we have our lower ball joint mounting bracket popped loose, we're going to take it off of our factory one. We'll swap it right over to our new one, exactly how it sat on the old one. Then we're going to grab our new castle nut, get that started onto our new ball joint. Then we're going to take our 27 millimeter socket and tighten that down. So now that we've got our bracket on and our castle nut tightened down, we're going to grab our new provided cotter pin, get that through our stud, and we'll bend this back. Now there's no real wrong way to bend a cotter pin as long as it's blocking the nut from coming off of the stud. Now we're going to grab our new control arm, get it up into position, and install our new cam bolts. So the thinner one is going to be the rear, and the thicker one is going to be for the front. Get this into position. Once you get pretty close, you can slide one of your cam bolts in. You have to work it around a little bit. get that first one through, that'll kind of hold it in position. We can get our second one in. Okay. Then we'll install our washers and cams and nuts. Now we'll get our cam nut onto this one, as well as the front one. Now we're going to leave these loose for the moment so we can get our lower ball joint bracket back in place, and this will swing pretty freely to do so. Now we'll swing our control arm into position. You may have to work your knuckle and hub around a little. Now if you find yourself having a difficult time getting this into position, you can grab yourself a pole jack or a floor jack if you're doing this on the ground to help hold your lower control arm. Just raise this up. Now once we have both of these in place, we're going to tighten those back down with our 22mm socket. Next we'll get our lower strut mount bolt back in place. So you may have to move this around a little bit. And once we have that through, we'll get our 22mm nut back on. We'll use our 22mm socket and wrench to tighten this back down. Now we'll get our sway bar end link bolt back in place. Once we have that through, we use our 19mm socket to tighten this back down. So now we can tighten up our cam bolts. Now, once again, as I mentioned, you can use your factory cams as a reference. They are the same shape, so if they're generally in the same position where they're gonna line up almost with the paint marks, that's how you know you're in good shape. Then we'll come in with our 27mm socket on our ratchet and a 27mm wrench and tighten these down. Then you can do the same thing for your front cam bolt. Now the front cam bolt is going to be the same thing as the rear, except for you will need a 30mm wrench and a 30mm socket to tighten down the front one. Now once you have this installed, you want to make sure to torque your hardware down to the manufacturer recommended specs. And after you have this side on, you can repeat this same process for the other side. And another reminder, you will need an alignment after completing this. Alrighty folks, that about wraps up our review and install of our Freedom Off-Road front lower control arms and cam bolts for your 07 to 21 Tundra. Thanks for watching, and as always, for everything Tundra, keep it right here at ExtremeTerrain.com.